Bit of a change of scenery needed. Living in a giant city like Bangkok, like I do, it can get a bit much sometimes. It can get a little bit too hectic. But luckily, because Bangkok is so centrally located within Thailand, you're only an hour away from the mountains of the north or the islands of the south. We're staying in a little wooden tree house. It's raining, it's miserable, it's cool temperatures, but most importantly, it's absolutely beautiful. It's quiet, relaxing. I'm on my own. I'm currently trekking to a little waterfall somewhere. So I invite you to relax, put the kettle on, and come and join me on this little spontaneous trip to the beautiful, rainy mountains of Chiang Mai, northern Thailand. Enjoy the video. The weather in Bangkok had been miserable for a few weeks, and I thought, if it's going to be raining and grey clouds, I might as well be up in the mountains where at least I can enjoy the beauty of the rain in much more serenity. This was a super last-minute trip. In fact, I only booked the flight up north to Chiang Mai the evening before. Do you guys remember that bar? I got a flight with Bangkok Airways, and as you'll see later in the video, they are one of the best airlines, not just in Thailand, but in Asia. They're not paying me to say that, it's just my experience. And when I arrived in Chiang Mai, I was able to pick up my rental. I'd gone for this Honda CT125. I actually have this bike already in red back in Bangkok. So I wanted to rent something familiar, small, but able to deal with this weather and conditions. I paid 600 baht per day for this beautiful little yellow bike, and if you want to rent a similar bike, then I'll put the link in the description for the guys I rented off, because they've got some more interesting bikes than just your typical Honda Clicks. Where I was headed was 75 kilometers north of Chiang Mai city, and the drive would be simple, pleasant, and relaxing. Northern Thailand had been experiencing a lot of rain and sadly flooding, especially in Chiang Mai. I wasn't quite sure what the state of the mountains would be, but I had my fingers crossed it wouldn't be that bad. These look absolutely delicious. If you've been subscribed to this channel for a long time, you'll know that I visited every single province, and I have to say that this area of Chiang Mai is one of the most beautiful parts of the entire country. And I knew that even in the rain, this place would still steal the show. It is just that beautiful up here. This is the accommodation. It is a traditional wooden treehouse called the Hideaway Treehouse. Of course, I'll link it in the description. And I had room number 1, which has an incredible view. Deep in the rainforest and high into the mountain of Chiang Dao itself, this treehouse is, well, just look how beautiful it is. No need for aircon up here. The temperatures are much cooler thanks to the altitude and, of course, the weather. There are a few things to see and do in the area, but I was mainly here to just relax and unwind and listen to the sound of the forest and listen to the sound of the rainy season. This little bag, by the way, is by Nomad Lane, and they sent me this and asked me to promote their bag company to you guys. So this is a paid partnership, but I was really impressed by this bag. At the top, there's 2 compartments that have 2 little surprises inside. One is a clear toiletry bag, and the other is a padded compartment, perfect for your electrical wires and chargers and other things like that. As you saw on the flight, it's small enough to count as your carry-on, so it's very small and compact, but it packs a punch when it comes to versatility, and it didn't take me very long to realize that as you unzip the different compartments, this small bag packs a big punch in terms of capacity. There's a padded laptop compartment, there's a handy key leash and multiple pockets, which just make everything really easy to organize and accessible during your trip. I could easily pack all of my clothes, toiletries, and all of my tech gear, which is really important, all in this one small compact bag. Traveling can be quite a hassle without the right gear, but this V4 bento bag by Nomad Lane comes in handy. So if you're looking for the perfect travel companion, there is a 10% discount code for you. Just make sure to put the correct promo code at checkout. You can also use the links in the description and pinned comment. Thanks to Nomad Lane for sending me my new favorite travel bag. And if you too are in the market for something smart, compact, and extremely versatile, then pick up a bag in the description below. This is incredibly unique and beautiful little spot here. Absolutely uninterrupted views of this valley, this thick, luscious jungle up in the mountains. It's cooler up here, but it's not chilly, but it might get a little bit cooler in the evening. I see they have a fire pit, so hopefully we can warm up around the fire later. It really is just incredible. Now you can hear the running water and the bugs, right? And I'm gonna go for a little explore, see if we can find a little cafe, maybe go, there's a waterfall on my Google Maps. Not far away from my accommodation was this absolutely stunning looking cafe on the banks of the river. It seemed to be made completely of wood and bamboo and thatch, and just the whole design was beautiful.
They do all types of specialty coffees, they do food, both Thai and basic snacks like chicken nuggets and things like that. I decided to go for this caramel latte. It was very thick, it was very sweet, and with this setting and this view, it was the perfect experience. Further upstream on Google Maps, I saw a little pin for a waterfall. So I decided to get back on the bike, drive up a little bit closer towards the start of the trail, and see if I could find a very mysterious waterfall deep in the forest. And obviously I had to contend with the muddy, slippy conditions that the rain had brought to this area. Up here, deep in Chiang Dao, there isn't as many concrete roads, and things get a little bit slippy and muddy quite quickly.
As much fun as it is slipping and sliding in this wet mud, I don't really want to trash the rental bike. And even though this bike is literally built for this type of terrain, I kind of miss my big chunky tires that I have on Zelda. We're only 1 kilometer away from the waterfall, so let's walk downhill, and it'll be nice to stretch our legs in this beautiful forest, especially in this light drizzle. It's beautiful.
I saw quite a little bit of wildlife on my hike. Apparently they have wild cattle roaming here. Cows, I saw goats, and they just seem to live in the jungle. I also saw this little crab, very far away from the ocean. I think he's quite lost.
I can finally hear the waterfall in the distance. Have a look how beautiful this is. Down there in the valley are some misty clouds down below me. And in the distance, you can't see, but there is the most incredible view of Chiang Dao in the misty mountains. I keep getting a little sneak peek of it through the trees. It really is just one of the most beautiful mountains in the world, especially the most beautiful in Thailand for sure. We haven't got the best view from here, but it's stunning. I think it's worth mentioning, I hadn't seen a single photo or video of this waterfall. This waterfall isn't really an attraction. It was just on Google Maps, and you could pay 400 baht to go on a little hike at the accommodation to this waterfall, and it would be a 4-hour return hike, 400 baht. And I was like, well, I can just drive to the waterfall or as near as possible and then walk the last little bit. The last little bit ended up being about an hour, and I've got to turn around and go all the way back up. So it's probably going to be a little bit dark by the time I get home or back to the accommodation. But the waterfall wasn't worth coming, guys. It wasn't worth coming, unfortunately. It's more of a stream, and this is what I've been like, it's been tempting me, and I wanted to turn around like a bunch because I was like, where am I going? where am I going, you know, very confused. But this sound of the distance waterfall kept beckoning me to keep going, like maybe it's going to be worth it, something epic. And don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, but is it worth coming to the waterfall? I don't see a waterfall. There's just a haunted house that's run down, and the river bending around, and this is the location of the waterfall, as far as I'm aware. Bit of a misadventure, but fun all the same, and I got my steps in. But it's been 2.6 kilometers round trip from where I left the bike, and I didn't bring any water or snacks, and I'm soaked.
So yeah, my hike to the waterfall had been fun, but it didn't really pan out with an epic waterfall at the end, which was a shame. It took me about another 45 minutes to get back to the treehouse, but thankfully I got home just before dark, so I was able to soak up some of the beautiful evening atmosphere before it got dark. The price per night in the treehouse here includes dinner and breakfast, which I think is very reasonable. They only charge 900 baht for the accommodation and dinner and breakfast. They do cold beers, soju, snacks, and thankfully they put on this lovely little campfire. So I was able to warm up and dry off after that very wet and muddy hike. This had been exactly what I had wanted from this trip. Delicious food, incredible scenery, and just somewhere I could enjoy the rainy season and just get out of Bangkok. I love Bangkok, guys, but sometimes you need to trade the beeping and the traffic and the malls and the crowds for the quiet life up here in the mountains. Dinner was served, it was lovely. Massaman with chicken, an omelette, some veggies, and a big pot of hot steaming rice. Perfect with a couple of beers and the heat from the fire behind me. No one else was staying here tonight. It was a Monday, so it was a bit lonely. So after dinner and a quiet beer, I just went to bed. They have Wi-Fi, so I watched a movie, and it was very relaxing. It rained all night, and when I awoke the following day, everything was about to change.
So last night I slept really well, actually. It rained all night, however, which was good in the sense that it was extremely relaxing lying in the bed with the open window, being able to just lie in a beautiful nature setting with the rain all around. It didn't keep me awake. In fact, it made me dream that I was trapped at the top of a tree with flooding all underneath me and being sort of trapped in the canopy during a storm. And I woke up and I thought, oh, no wonder I dreamt about that, because it was literally like this all night. I've just checked the weather app on my phone, and the entire northern Thailand region of Chiang Mai and even further south is just covered in a huge storm, and it seems to be raining all over northern Thailand. Chiang Mai recently just suffered terribly from flooding as well, so I'm expecting a little bit of a troublesome journey back to the city. I actually have a flight to catch at lunchtime, so I've got to get moving, and I've just had my delicious breakfast, but the lady who cooked me that delicious rice porridge told me and showed me a photo. Apparently there's been a landslide on the road down there somewhere in those misty valleys. There's only one road up and down into this village, and it looks to be completely covered in rocks and rubble, so I'll make my way regardless. I'll pack up my stuff in a minute, check out and get on the road, because I'll have to probably do a little bit of problem solving in the rain.
There's nothing wrong with a night of rain. The only issue is it had been raining like this up here in the north for months, and it was causing a lot of flooding. And I was about to experience some of the effects from all of this rain.
I wonder how far we'll get. Wish me luck.
It didn't take me very long to find the source of the landslides. In fact, this road kind of felt like I was driving down a river as all of the rain was sliding off the valleys.
I think I found the reason why there was no staff at the hotel. And I think I found the reason why I might be stuck here for a little bit. As you can see, there is the road. Here is the landslide and this big boulder. And she was the lady who cooked me breakfast. And it must have all slipped down here last night in the rain. It's frustrating, isn't it, when it's such a small landslide, but it's completely blocked the road. There's no way my little motorbike can make it through up and over that mud. It's just too much mud. It would just get stuck. Nobody can get into the village and nobody can get out past this little blockage. Down here, this winds on down into the valley back towards Chiang Dao, where you turn right, and then it's 70 kilometers to Chiang Mai. It is absolutely beautiful, this rain. The way that it's hugging the canopy of the forest over there, it's beautiful. I suppose we are just gonna have to wait around and see if somebody with a JCB or some kind of digger can come and move the mud. I don't know if there's more landslides this way. There could probably be more than one, I don't know, but if it's just one, then hopefully someone's called the office. Maybe at 9 o'clock when someone starts work, they might drive up here with a JCB, get onto clearing it, and hopefully have it all done by as early as possible. But I'm definitely not making my flight. I just tested the structure of this mud, because looking at it, it might seem that if I got a good run up, I could drive up on the right hand side away from these rocks and come over the other side. But the second I just put my weight into it, it just sank. As you can see. So it's way too soft to support the weight of the bike. As I would go up here, I would just get stuck instantly. So if I had my bike, I'd probably give it a go, maybe for fun. Got bigger, chunkier tires. It might make it up this ruggedy area, but it's just probably not worth it. I probably wouldn't try it, to be honest. But with a rental, there's no chance. So, and yes, on Google Maps, this road just heads towards the valley where the waterfall was, and that's where the road ends. So this road goes up into the valley, and then it's a dead end. There is no way I can go that way. There is only one way to go back. Never mind.
In Thailand, there's a saying, Mai pen rai. And it means, no worries, relax, don't worry about it. Nothing you can do.
Do you know what time they will fix the road?
คุณรู้หรือไม่ว่าพวกเขาจะซ่อมถนนกี่โมง
รอสักครู่นะคะยังไม่แน่ใจค่ะ
I'm not sure yet.
Okay. I don't know how often they have landslides. I don't know when they can get fixed, how they get fixed, how long does it take to get fixed, because I'm stranded here.
So since I was stranded, I decided not to get stressed. It's only going to cost me a few thousand baht probably to reschedule my flight. And at the end of the day, I'm up here in the beautiful northern mountains of Thailand, and I could relax back at the treehouse and just think, Mai pen rai. A lot of the other guests from different guest houses in the area had also realized that they couldn't get down to the city, and they had parked up nearby the treehouse, and they all sought refuge here in the treehouse because they have a cafe, they have a restaurant, they have food. We all sat there and waited for about 2.5 hours before we got an update about the situation on the road. The villagers didn't seem too bothered. Thankfully, no one had gotten hurt. The landslides hadn't taken anyone's home or damaged anyone or hurt anyone, which was good. They were just trying to figure out how they could clear the road so that life could go back to normal. People could get back to work and people could go home. This tree had fallen down and caused another obstruction that needed clearing. And this tree had only just recently fallen down in the previous 10-15 minutes, but someone had already turned up and started chopping it up with a chainsaw. Next to the fallen tree, I went down to the river, which had gotten a lot higher and a much more rapid than yesterday. You could see why it was causing havoc, not just up here in this little village, but back down in the valleys of Chiang Mai, where all of these little rivers connect into the Ping, which was flooding, sadly, most of Chiang Mai as I was filming this. A couple of hours later, the JCB arrived and made quick work of clearing the landslide, the big boulders, and scraping away and all of the slippy mud. And eventually, it was time to get on the bike and attempt driving back to the city to figure out how was I going to get home.
Okay.
Here you can see the landslide had been cleared, and there was quite a lot of heavy machinery doing their hard work, doing their best to clear the way.
Good luck, man. We made it past the blockage. I don't think I'm gonna make my flight, however. Way too tight. Even though my flight's been delayed until 1 p.m. I don't think I'm quite gonna get to the airport in time for check-in.
Yeah, I was never going to make my flight, but I didn't care. I was just happy to be back on the road, and there were a lot more obstacles along the way. It didn't take me very long to realize that one of the power cables had just fallen down, and I didn't know how I was going to get past this one.
Here's another bump in the road. All of the cables, the power cables, have fallen down, including this one here, and geez, I don't know if I can get under this. And then it's just fallen. I mean, this has probably just fallen very recently because they had to get the digger and a few of the vehicles up to clear the landslide further up. So this has happened since. In fact, I just heard another crash bang wallop sound in the distance. So I don't know what to do. I'm terrified that this is actually gonna still be live if I just accidentally graze this cable. I mean, it's got rubber on the outside, so I'm thinking it's okay. And I could probably squeeze under here. Somebody's coming. This guy is zero fucks given. Okay. Thank you. Just squeezing underneath the power cable. Definitely don't do that at home, folks.
Yeah, there was a lot of devastation, and small landslides, large landslides, and flooding all on the route home. And it rained and it poured for most of the journey home. These outer areas of Chiang Mai had been hit by large flooding areas. This is the main road back to Chiang Mai, and for most of the way home it was like this. Luckily, just a little bit of water, so enough for us to be able to drive through it. But yeah, I had never seen flooding like this before, and I used to live in Chiang Mai for 3 years. I'd like to send my love and support to anyone who's been really affected by the floods in Chiang Mai. I hope you can recover quickly and clean up, and yeah, just sending you all of my positive thoughts to you guys. When I got back to the airport, I had missed my flight. But Bangkok Airways, they're so understanding. I just went to the ticket desk and I said, "Hi, look, I missed my flight, and is it possible to go on a later flight?" And the lady at the check-in desk here, she just said, "Don't worry, look, a lot of people have missed their flights. There's a lot of disruption in this province and in northern Thailand. And the next available flight is in half an hour, and I'll just put you on there for free. There's a few spare seats." She even let me take a window seat. And I got to fly home only a few hours later than originally planned. And yeah, I just think that's really good service and understanding from Bangkok Airways. They typically charge a bit more money than, say, Vietjet or Air Asia, but the way they take care of you, no matter where you're going with Bangkok Airways, I've always had a really pleasurable experience. And I was able to check in onto the next flight with no worries. And I was able to leave rainy Chiang Mai. I had had a great time. I'd had a few adventures, and it was fun to be able to come up, have some quality time in nature. And yeah, I just wish everyone a speedy recovery in Chiang Mai. I hope you can bounce back as fast as possible. I hope you enjoyed this relaxing, quiet mountain exploration. Check out Nomad Lane in the description to get yourself one of those great little travel bags. And I'll see you soon in the next one. Cheers and safe travels.